So pretty early on, I made a theory about how the fact that Jun Maeda had a heart transplant before writing this show, that maybe Hina was going to need a heart transplant before the show ended because, while he did come off and said it was going to be his saddest work and has claimed it's going to be one of the saddest anime, was firmly believing the end of the world was her own internal lifespan clocking down. I just wasn't expecting the whole body kind of shutting down. And at this point, there's really two options. Either one, she has some drug that's been put inside her to give her more time on this earth, which is why she's able to run around when she shouldn't be able to move. And there has been hints in her saying that she feels uncomfortable, meaning that probably that drug is wearing off. And once the clock hits 0, she's not going to be able to move around. Or the real Hina did die, and she is now maybe her brain was put in an AI robotic body. That is a possibility. After the credits there, we get to see our boy who has been chasing after a doctor. I'd seen a great theory about how, what if it was a different time period, because what if, this is from the future and we're looking at the past? Seemingly they're in the same time frame based on the fact that the wife is still pretty much shooken up that her husband's dead daughter came back from the dead, and it kind of shook the family dynamic. To me, what it feels like is his grandfather most likely developed some sort of temporary cure that would give a child a decent life as his body was dying himself. Maybe there wasn't enough to go around for both. Maybe it's like a super drug that kind of gives a dying person a second chance to do something that they wouldn't be able to. Maybe the reason that this hacker is chasing after Hina or this research is because maybe they want that drug to be able to save more lives, or maybe they're going to be doing bad things with it. There's a lot of uncertainty for sure, don't get me wrong, but to me, if you had to ask me what am I placing my money on, well, one, Hina's dying 100%, I feel like. There's no way that our boy's claiming that this is going to be the saddest anime that he's worked on if she's not dying. I mean, unless you really pull on our heartstrings, make us think she's dead, and then you kind of revive her in a sad way, which I don't think he would go down. It feels to me that this is a human girl who most likely this grandfather developed something that increased the entire human body. We see her hacking at a very young age. Most likely, if this is a drug that was put in a normal girl, that probably says to me that even her brain was kind of like super wired from this drug that allowed her to be very intelligent, a lot healthier, and that's why she proclaimed herself to be a god. That's kind of the direction I feel like they're going, and honestly, I think that'd be amazing. They almost Anohana'd us. I mean, when they were bringing up the fact that, they only brought out one teacup and she was looking down very, gloomy, in the moment, I was all for it. I was like, oh my god, she's dead, she's a ghost, and only those that she's allowed to see her are allowed to see her, obviously. And clearly she wouldn't want to meet her long-lost father. And then they make it so comedic, no, she just had something else ordered off the menu. And when I saw the reveal and how they once again twisted a trope, I was really relieved, because in the moment they had me hooked. I was like, Anohana us. Anohana, the idea of that is so painful, but we've already seen that done before. So once they revealed that it was a big joke, I was way more happy that clearly they're going something way more original. And you might be able to tie it into something like Your Lie in April, but still clearly doing something drastically different with its more technological, scientific angle that they're clearly aiming for. This show has become so remarkable, and I've enjoyed it ever since episode 1. I consider it to be one of the funniest anime of this season, while also being one of the most heartbreaking ones, clearly, all at the same time. It feels to me that what we're building up to, based on the fact that it seems like she's a little delusional, I do feel like she's not accepting the harsh truth of reality. I feel like she knows she's probably going to die, but at the same time, she's firmly saying that the world's going to end. She's not saying, I'm going to die. That could be a child's delusion, but I'm very curious if maybe she came up with a lie so she wouldn't have to face the harsh truth of reality or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Hina believes the world's actually going to die, but really that's just her saying, I don't want to face the fact that I'm going to die and leave everyone else. It's easier for me to say the whole world's about to crumble. And I'm very curious if this drug works in a fashion that the stronger the person's will is to live, the more likely it is they'll be able to push through that for longer. Any real disease in the world, the human struggle of wanting to live is what keeps you alive during life-threatening diseases more than if you are doing it all by yourself. Even stuff like very hardcore cancers out there. If you have the desire to live, obviously you can't beat it, but you can live longer than if you're just someone who's accepted that you're going to die in a month. People can last years. It can happen. I've seen it in my own family. So to me, whatever was injected into her, if she is actually still a human, most likely her willpower to last a year until the end of the world is what's keeping her alive. But I'm curious because the mother did say something like she can stay as long as you want her to, basically. She's talking about like it's up to you to decide. So I'm curious if Yoda decides to do something like say, hey, I stop the end of the world, or he makes up some convenient lie to give her the will to live another year. Would that actually give her another year to live, and would that delusion be able to still kick in? If he gave her a needle that was something that was literally nothing in the needle, with that willpower, there's a lot of uncertainty with this element, but you can tell we're building up to some sorrow. I mean, when you kick off the episode and you're seeing the grandfather, I wasn't expecting it. I was clearly expecting us just to go back to the movie because that's kind of what the series has been up until this point. But the idea of just simply having it just be this really interesting information, looking like a grandfather raising a baby from scratch, and then you get the information that there was this family, the mother killed herself because of the heartbreak, the father went and made a new life because he couldn't even connect with his child because she couldn't move, she couldn't do anything. It is literally just almost like watching probably a comatose patient or something like that. So it's interesting the fact that it definitely feels like we're going in the direction that either A, her mind was put in a robotic body, which could be, or it's a human who's just really was given an extra amount of time from a experimental drug that no one knew about. And I kind of feel like we're going more experimental drug, but obviously time will tell. There's going to be probably a lot of discussion about the father's actions, and they're very questionable, don't get me wrong, but I don't think what we should come out of this episode saying is that he's the worst person ever. I mean, if you're put into a situation like his, I'm not saying he did the right thing in any way, but I do think that there is this child's innocence versus this realism where not everyone's going to be able to handle that your daughter is just not able to do anything. She's literally lifeless. Your wife kills herself, and I mean, what do you do at this point, right? It's not excusable, but you understand that if you're playing devil's advocate, it's not an easy thing to be able to manage. And the fact that, you firmly believe she was dead because there's no cure for this disease, you start a new family and you actually have a normal family life, and then you realize that she's somehow alive and there's no way this could be a lie. There's no way this could be a lie. Everything about your life just continues to shatter, and the fact that he throws it back at our boy's face saying, hey, someday you're going to have to make the same decision, it does feel like we're approaching a point where she's about to get abandoned again, but clearly Yoda won't abandon her. And maybe that will actually give her some peace of mind or something like that. It's just an incredible episode that was honestly pretty sad. It was really sad. And the fact that we still have 4 episodes left to go, I think we have 5 days left based on the countdown at the end of the episode after the credits. It doesn't feel like much is left here. It feels like we're approaching her death. And I'm glad that it's more on a personal level by the looks of it, because I think that the more personal level makes it doesn't feel as rushed. I feel like Jun Maida's works can sometimes hinder with the fact that they introduce a large-scale threat at the end, but having it be more personal since the beginning makes it feel a lot less rushed and a lot more perfectly paced, if I'm being completely honest. This was an incredible episode full of heartbreak, and honestly, hopefully Yoda just gives her a good farewell. That's all she can really hope for at this point, and who knows what's going to happen next. Let me know your thoughts and feelings and definitely your theories down below. What did you think, and where do you think it's going to go next week with the remainder of the episodes? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happy and you're around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.